Hello and good morning. Welcome into the studio here at News Channel Nebraska. It is Friday, March 8th, and I'm your anchor, Andrew Pfeiffer, bringing you the latest headlines from around the state of Nebraska. Warmer weather has gotten people out on the road, and with that, an increase has been seen in gas prices across the country. AAA reports the average price of a gallon of gas in the United States is $3.39. That's an 8-cent bump from the previous week. Rising oil prices continue to be a key reason why gas prices continue to rise as well. Compared to a month ago, Nebraska has seen a 30-cent increase in gas prices, as AAA has Nebraskans purchasing a gallon of gas for $3.18. In order to find the cheapest gallon of gas in the state, it would take you to Gosper County, where they're hovering at $2.99 a gallon. Carter Lake. Police say one person was taken to the hospital with injuries. An investigation shows an SUV was traveling at high speeds and veered into oncoming traffic through the intersection. The car then left the road and crashed into a fence before striking a parked car and flipping on its side. Medics transported the driver to the hospital with life-saving measures in progress. The University of Nebraska Kearney has taken the next steps to find its next chancellor. The Central Nebraska University has hired Carter Baldwin, which is an executive search firm, to help replace longtime Chancellor Doug Christensen, who retired from his role back in December. Interim President Chris Kaborik has hired a combination of students, faculty, and community members to help guide the search. Listening sessions will follow before applications and nominations will be accepted. Omaha police are asking for the public's help in finding a missing person. The department is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to the whereabouts of a missing person, Levi Blake. Blake was latest seen almost 6 months ago on August 17th of 2023. Blake was last seen in the area of 33rd and Lake Street. OPD said they conducted multiple searches for Blake, but have run out of leads regarding his whereabouts. Blake is 80 years old, 5 feet 9 inches tall, and 150 pounds, and Blake has been diagnosed with dementia. After being accused of breaking into a grocery store last month, a Lincoln man now faces charges of sexual assault. 20-year-old Dang Mengelkamp, an additional count of first-degree sexual assault and assault by a confined person. This stems to a call when Lincoln police received in early February when a 15-year-old claimed to be sexually assaulted by Mengelkamp. On Tuesday, while in Lancaster County Jail, Mengelkamp tackled an inmate and kicked them after Mengelkamp says he was antagonizing him about the sexual assault charge. His bond was set at $505,000 for the assault charges, and his bond for the grocery store robbery was reduced to $25,000. North Carolina man is now being accused of trying to kill 2 people in York earlier this week. 22-year-old Jonah Jewell is being charged with 2 counts of attempted murder among 4 other charges combined. He could face a maximum of 176 years in prison. While an arrest affidavit has not been filed, the complaint says a gun was used in the crime after Jewell allegedly burglarized a home and made multiple threats. It is unclear at this time how these events unfolded or if they are related, and the charges were filed on Wednesday after Jewell was taken into custody on Monday. After the first round of layoffs, more BNSF workers may have lost their jobs during a second round of furloughs. At least 10 conductors were set to lose their positions in Lincoln on Wednesday. Nebraska State Legislative Director for SMART TD, Andy Faust, says this may just be the beginning of the layoffs and anticipates around 50 more employees in the coming days.
In my 20 years of working for the railroad, that's usually the cycle it goes in. If there's furloughs in other departments, then it's usually going to affect every department on the railroad.
BNSF did not approve a statement and referred to their previous statement. This comes after last Tuesday when roughly 362 jobs were furloughed nationwide. The union's president claimed BNSF was skirting federal safety requirements after inspections were done on equipment. This could worsen the amount of furloughs seen. The officials in central Nebraska are encouraging people to prepare for the upcoming primary elections as new voter ID laws may come into effect. In May, Nebraska will hold its primary elections and will be the first election with a new voter ID law. Hall County Election Commissioner Tracy Overstreet says it's educating yourself about changes to the voting process and is important.
Nebraska has a new voter ID law, and it's really one of the most substantial changes in election changes or election law in about 20 years for Nebraska. So Nebraska voters need to be ready.
In 2022, a constitutional amendment was passed requiring photo ID in Nebraska elections. Acceptable forms of photo identification include your driver's license, a state ID, Nebraska University ID, Nebraska Political Subdivision ID, United States passport, military or tribal ID, hospital record, facility assisted living or nursing home state ID can also be obtained free of charge. Lancaster County sheriffs are investigating after a man reportedly lost $55,000 in a Bitcoin scam. Authorities say 65-year-old Denton man met a woman on Facebook and after several messages agreed to set up a Bitcoin Trust Wallet account. After the victim checked his account on Wednesday, the money was all gone. And Lancaster Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy Ben Houchin says not to give out any personal information to people on social media. The Sheriff's Office is investigating, but they say it is difficult to both solve the case and get the money back to the victim. Central Nebraska Fire Department is receiving a new technology to improve traffic safety and protect first responders. In a news release on Thursday, the city of Grand Island announced that in an effort to improve traffic safety and protect first responders, the Grand Island Fire Department is now integrating HOS Alert Safety Cloud, digital alerts into its fire equipment. Officials say this collision prevention service would allow real-time alerts to be sent to Nebraska drivers when emergency services are active nearby and will effectively enhance the light bars and sirens with additional in-vehicle notifications. The news release says this measure has been shown to significantly reduce the risk of collision by up to 90%, protecting first responders and drivers. It affects about 5 million women in the United States. Endometriosis causes severe pain and is linked to infertility. But many people may not know that they have it. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither goes over the signs to watch out for and explains why endometriosis is often underdiagnosed.
It's been called the missed disease because many women may not even know they have it.
Endometriosis does impact 1 in 10 women. We do think that it probably impacts more women than that.
Dr. Megan Billow with Cleveland Clinic says endometriosis is a condition where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus grows where it shouldn't, like the abdomen and pelvic area. Symptoms include painful periods, abdominal or back pain during your period, pain during sex, heavy periods, spotting between periods, infertility, and painful bowel movements.
The reason it's underdiagnosed and can take up to 7 to 10 years from the initial onset of symptoms to diagnosis is because the clinical symptoms do overlap with many other types of conditions.
Billow says the other problem is there's no blood test or biomarker that can detect the condition.
Endometriosis does require laparoscopy or an invasive procedure to truly diagnose the disease. However, we are really working on non-invasive options to diagnose endometriosis, including ultrasound and MRI.
There's no known cause for endometriosis and no cure, but Billow says a diagnosis allows doctors to treat symptoms.
The best type of management is typically using a combination of medications and surgery to not only diagnose, optimize treatment, and control symptoms.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Use of melatonin has soared to help people sleep, but you should keep it away from young children. In fact, the CDC reports the number of children under 5 who went to the ER because of melatonin was up 420% between 2009 and 2020. Specifically, 11,000 children went to the emergency room between 2019 and 2022 due to ingesting melatonin unsupervised. Child-proof packaging is not required on the natural sleep aid. In most cases, the kids got into a bottle of melatonin gummies unsupervised. Melatonin is considered generally safe for kids, but there is no scientific data on exact dosing. Also, dozens of melatonin gummy products have been found to contain dangerous levels of the hormone. In some cases, they contain only CBD with no melatonin. Most of the children who ingested melatonin did not have to be hospitalized. Nation's capital is on track to avoid a government shutdown Friday with a funding package in the Senate on Friday after passing in the House, but a second budget deadline in March could be harder. Amy Kiley has the report.
We are not going to be shutting government down.
That seems to be the case for tomorrow's deadline, but the one on March 22nd could be more challenging.
We can pass them and fund these 6 departments with time to spare before Friday's deadline.
Today, the Senate is taking up a package of 6 spending bills that cleared the House yesterday. They fund the Departments of Commerce, Justice, Veterans Affairs, Interior, Transportation, and more through the end of September. Notably, the House tally for the funding package includes more votes from Democrats than Republicans, despite GOP control of the chamber.
It's going to keep piling up debt. It's going to continue funding policies that are at odds with the American people. It's continuing to fund open borders.
But Senate leaders say they feel confident.
This week, we're going to pass the first of 6 appropriation bills.
Analysts say keeping the rest of the government open past March 22nd could be harder. Party leaders don't yet have an agreement on that package, and it covers the Department of Homeland Security. Impeachment proceedings against its secretary are still in the works.
We're making our best effort to do the other 6 before March 22nd.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
By many accounts, President Biden's State of the Union address was fiery and more than a little political. He referred to his predecessor at least a dozen times, and all of them with Biden on the attack. NCN's Joe Jordan has our report.
President, how are you feeling, sir?
Feeling good. With the election front and center, this State of the Union arguably the most important speech of President Biden's decades-long political career. Much of it spent blasting former President Donald Trump. While never uttering Trump's name, Biden blamed Trump for ending Roe v. Wade, trying to stop Obamacare, cutting taxes for the rich, siding with Putin, and insisting the 2020 race was stolen.
My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
It's been just 2 days since Nebraska Senator Pete Ricketts, while endorsing Donald Trump for president, stated that weekend at Bernie's in the White House must come to an end. With all the talk about Biden's age, Ricketts was asked to explain.
Well, what that statement says about the weekend at Bernie's is that there is no leadership come from the White House whatsoever. I've been here for over a year now. And what I have seen is that what this president does is just, he's hired a bunch of very liberal bureaucrats and just let them do anything they want. There is no unifying message. There isn't any sort of strategy.
That's right. Ricketts did not mention Biden's age. Biden did.
And I've been told I'm too old. Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal and deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either.
And when it comes to the border, Congressman Mike Flood is siding with Trump over Biden.
While Biden has failed to secure the border, House Republicans passed the strongest border security bill in history. If the president would simply sign the Secure the Border Act into law, it would help save lives and bring his crisis to an end.
Biden, though, blaming Trump and Republicans on Capitol Hill for blocking Biden's border fix.
That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. What are you against?
The Biden-Trump showdown is 8 months away. In Omaha, Joe Jordan, News Channel, Nebraska.
Well, today is Friday, and it is a day to celebrate the achievements of women and support action against gender inequality. It's International Women's Day. You can mark the day by taking part in a march for women's equal rights or participate in a related fundraiser, festival, lecture, or seminar, and post to the hashtag International Women's Day. You can keep celebrating for the rest of March, as it is also National Women's History Month. And with that, we'll conclude our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in 2 News Channel Nebraska. I'm your anchor, Andrew Pfeiffer, saying so long and goodbye.